여러분, 우리 대한민국은 세계 최고의 저출산 국가입니다. 그래서 인구가 급격하게 줄어들고 있습니다. 노동력이 부족해서 이제 이민청이라는 것을 만들어서 그 노동력을 외부에서 들여와야 된다. 이런 기본 정책을 가지고 있습니다. 앞으로 우리 주변에 무슬림 인구가 급격하게 늘어날 겁니다. 그렇다면 교회가 준비해야 됩니다. 이번에 브래드TV에서 이슬람 바로 알기 아카데미를 준비하고 있는데 4월 13일부터 14일까지 이틀 동안 이틀만 투자하시면 데뷔할 수 있습니다. 강력 추천합니다.
지난해인 2022년 전 세계에서 이스라엘로 알리야한 사람들의 숫자는 23년 만에 가장 높은 수치를 기록했다고 합니다. 2022년 한 해 동안 95개국에서 약 7만 명 정도 알리야했다고 하는데요. 이 숫자는 2021년 28,600명에 비해서 2배로 늘어난 숫자라고 하죠. 이 중에 러시아에서 가장 많은 37,364명, 그리고 우크라이나에서 14,860명, 그리고 미국에서 3,500명 정도가 알리야했다고 하죠. 이렇게 유대인들의 알리야가 급격히 늘어난 이유는 아무래도 2022년 2월 24일부터 시작된 러시아와 우크라이나 두 나라 사이에 일어난 전쟁 때문이 아닌가 싶은데요. 워낙에 갑자기 일어난 전쟁이다 보니까 우크라이나와 러시아에 살던 유대인들도 갑자기 이스라엘로 알리야할 수밖에 없게 되었죠. 그런데도 이런 일들을 아주 순조롭게 잘 진행될 수 있었던 것은 폴란드 바르샤바에 긴급 알리야 작전 본부를 세우고 그곳에서 8개 나라에 있는 에이전시 사무소와 연결해서 이민자들의 긴급 알리야를 주도해 나갔기 때문이라고 합니다. 물론 알리야 작전 본부는 아직도 폴란드 바르샤바에서 운영 중인데요. 그곳의 총책임자이면서 중앙아시아 및 그리고 코카소스 8개 나라의 알리야 디렉터이신 분이 오늘 저희 브래드TV를 방문해 주셨습니다. 바로 아브라함 아비 오피르 씨인데요. 오늘은 아비 오피르 씨로부터 숨막히게 긴급했던 그 순간의 이야기들을 오늘은 좀 자세하게 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 어서 오십시오. 반갑습니다.
Nice to meet you.
우선 우크라이나하고 러시아 간의 전쟁이 갑자기 일어나면서 알리야 숫자도 갑자기 늘어났어요. 이런 일들이 일어날 것을 어떻게 그 주시 에이전시 쪽에서는 미리 어느 정도 이렇게 예측을 하고 있었습니까? 아니면 이런 일을 이렇게 갑자기 맞닥뜨리게 된 겁니까?
I can't say that anyone expect, but there were rumors before and some speculations before the war began. So the Jewish agency began to prepare emissaries and workers in the field to be ready to this kind of situation. When the war began, we immediately applied the situation. We opened refugee centers all over Europe. I mean Warsaw, Budapest, Kishinev, etc., to get the refugees from Ukraine. And we built, I can say proudly, in a very short time, a very sophisticated operation to help those refugees, Jewish refugees, and take them home to Israel.
이번에 이제 우크라이나하고 러시아 간에 일어난 전쟁으로 인해서 알리야가 이렇게 급격히 늘어난 걸로 봐서도 그렇고, 앞으로 그러면은 전 세계 어디서든지 유대인들이 살고 있는 그 지역에서 뭐 전쟁이 나거나 또는 뭐 지진 같은 자연재해가 일어났을 때 긴급하게 그곳에 있는 유대인들을 이스라엘로 알리야시키기 위해서 주시 에이전시가 그런 걸로 이렇게 미리 사전에 이렇게 준비를 하는 그런 부분도 있습니까?
The history of Israel and the history of Jewish agency showing us that in every crisis, whenever it's happened and wherever it's happened in the world, not only in this case, in any case, the State of Israel and the Jewish agency always ready to be beside their Jewish brothers and to take them to the safety Holy Land. We saw it in many crises. I can give you an example in Georgia in a time of war in 2008, Israel was the only state with the side by side with the Jewish agency. It was the only state that sent planes to Georgia in the middle of the world, and we saved our brothers, the Jews, and we take them home. The same case now in this war between Ukraine and Russia. We built a system with dozens of hotels for refugees. We operated, I can say dozens, maybe hundreds of charter flights to Israel. And I'm sure, I hope it will be peacefully, but if it will be another crisis, we will be there. We are ready for it.
우크라이나하고 그 러시아 간에 일어난 전쟁 때문에 러시아에 있는 유대인들도 많이 이제 이스라엘로 알리야한다고 얘기 들었습니다. 그런데 그렇게 그 러시아의 유대인들이 이스라엘로 알리야하는 것하고 아비 오피르 총괄 디렉터가 계신 그 이 중앙아시아 그쪽의 유대인들도 이스라엘로 지금 알리야를 많이 한다고 그래요. 근데 그게 러시아의 유대인들이 이스라엘로 알리야하는 것과 중앙아시아 쪽의 유대인들이 알리야하는 것과 어떤 관련이 있습니까?
First of all, yes, we see a large amount of people, population movement all over Europe. You can see it from Ukraine to Europe, as I mentioned before, and from Russia to all the countries that I'm in charge of. I will name it: Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Armenia, Kyrgyzstan, etc., etc. We see more and more Russian Jews that are going from Russia to Israel through these countries. Some of them 3 days, some of them by foot, some of them by buses, and all of them want to go to Israel. It's influence on the Central Asia Jews also, because the situation, the world situation, the economic situation, afraid from changes in the area, influence on the citizens of Central Asia also, and we see more and more people who are interested to change their lives and to go to Israel from Central Asia, not only Russians, Central Asia and Caucasus citizens also. We tripled the numbers from our area, except the Russians. I can say historic moment now. We are front of historic moment of people going back to their homeland.
뭐 전쟁 때문에 당사국인 러시아하고 우크라이나의 상황이야 물론 뭐 당연히 안 좋겠죠. 그런데 그 두 나라뿐만 아니라 그 두 나라와 이렇게 국경을 맞이하고 있는 그 중앙아시아 나라들, 뭐 아제르바이잔이라든가 코카소스, 그 다음에 조지아 이곳에 있는 그 유대인들의 생활, 그 뭐 전쟁으로 인해서 물가 폭등이라든가 뭐 여러 가지 혼란 이런 문제 때문에 역시 그 지역에 있는 그 유대인들의 상황도 많이 안 좋죠.
Yes, as I mentioned before, except the Russian refugees and the Ukrainian refugees, the war influence on the citizens of the countries that I mentioned before, because the feeling of secure in those countries are not stable as it was before, because the situation, because the economic crisis, because all of these things that I mentioned, people that are citizens of these countries, the Georgian, the Kazakhian, and the Uzbekian, and they are also decided, and some of them are interested to change their life, because the feeling of secure was not as was before. This is why we see upgrowing amount of people that interested and want to go to Israel.
저희가 그 이스라엘 갈 때 요즘은 잘 안 그러는데 예전에는 그 우즈베키스탄 비행기를 타가지고 타시켄트를 들렸다가 이렇게 이스라엘을 많이 갔는데 그 타시켄트가 있는 우즈베키스탄에도 이렇게 유대인들이 많이 살고 있는 줄은 잘 몰랐어요. 그 우즈베키스탄, 카자흐스탄, 조지아, 아제르바이잔, 코카소스 이런 중앙아시아에도 유대인들이 많이 살고 있습니까?
Yes, there is a Jewish community in Uzbekistan, in Tashkent. I can tell you the figures for the viewers that they had the idea about the figures in this area. In Uzbekistan, Tashkent, there are about 15,000 Jews. most of them living in Tashkent, some of them living in Bukhara. This is the city near Tashkent. In Kazakhstan, 60,000 Jews that living in Kazakhstan, most of them in Almaty and other cities. In Georgia, about 10,000 Jews, and in Azerbaijan, 27,000 Jews, that most of them living in the capital Baku, and some of them living in the city Kuba, very interesting city.
아제르바이잔의 그 붉은 마을이라고 해서 이제 쿠바라는 그 산악 유대인들이 살고 있는 동네가 있다고 그랬어요. 그 유대인들이 어떻게 그 아제르바이잔의 산악 마을 거기까지 가서 살게 됐는지 그 얘기를 좀 해주시죠.
It's an interesting history, and very long history. I will try to make it short. Mountain Jews, this is how they're called. Before the 8th century, in most of them in Dagestan. It's in South Russia. Dagestan, it was their place. Scholars said that they came from the Babylon diaspora. This is the scholars think. In the 8th century, when the Islamic conquerors of Umayyad began to conquer the territory, the Jews run away because they're afraid from the Muslim conquerors, and they run away to the mountains. They run away to the mountains to the three main places: Chechnya, Dagestan mountains, and Azerbaijan mountains. And Azerbaijan mountains, in the north of Azerbaijan, it's Kuba. This is the place that the Jews, mountain Jews, are placed. Till today, you will see their city. In the middle of the city, a river crossing the city, and behind the river, there is a shtetl. I don't know how to say it, how to explain it, but it's a Jewish village. It was used in Europe. Now in Europe, unfortunately, no exists such kind of villages, but they are saying that Kuba is one of the shtetls all over the world, and it's a very interesting place.
제가 중국의 그 카이펑이라는 곳에 갔더니 거기도 그 유대인들이 살고 있더라고요. 근데 겉으로 보기엔 그냥 중국 사람인데 유대인이라고 하면서 그 집 입구에는 이렇게 대문에다가 다윗의 별을 그려놓고 내주자도 이렇게 붙여놓고 또 집 안에 들어가면은 메노라도 있고 또 그 카이펑에 살고 있는 유대인들도 이렇게 머리에다 키파를 쓰고 그러더라고요. 그 붉은 마을에 있는 아제르바이잔 붉은 마을에 있는 그 구바 그 사람들도 역시 그 살아가는 모습에서 유대인의 어떤 그런 모습을 볼 수가 있습니까?
Yes, when we are going in Kuba, we are seeing, as I said, shtetl. Shtetl, it means that there is a yeshiva there, synagogue, and in the last 2 years they are opened a museum for Jewish, mountain Jewish, very interesting museum, and young guys going in the street with the kippah. Yes, very interesting. And there's a very interesting history why the Jews living behind the river. What's happened? It was in the time of when Azerbaijan was separated by Khans. Khan, it's like sectors, and the head of this Khan go to the battle against the Muslims, and he was injured. And he was left in the battlefield injured. And the Jews take him and cured him, secure him, and he was healthy. When he go back, he promised to the Jews this piece of land, and he promised them that they will be secure forever. This is the history of Kuba, why the Jews are gathered there. Until today, we see their kippah, we see rabbis walking on the street, like a shtetl, as I said, like in Europe in the old days.
그분들도 결국은 이스라엘로 이렇게 오고 싶어 하죠.
Yes, first of all, in the 90s, as I mentioned before, mountain Jews split to 3 places: Chechnya, Dagestan, and Azerbaijan. Most of mountain Jews made Aliyah in the 90s, most of them to Israel, some of them minority to the USA, but most of them are in Israel in three main places: in the south of Tel Aviv, in Hedera, and in Beersheba. This is their gathering. And Today, the figures talking about 4,000 Jews that left there. They are willing to go to Israel. They are going to Israel, especially in this period, because the war.
그런데 이제 러시아나 우크라이나에 있는 유대인들에 비해서 아제르바이잔을 포함한 중앙아시아에 있는 유대인들의 알리야가 사실은 이제 그동안 많지는 않았거든요. 근데 이번에 전쟁 이후로 그 중앙아시아 쪽의 유대인들의 알리야가 많이 늘어났다면서요?
Because of the war, because of the situation, not only in Europe, also in my territory, the figures of Aliyah growing up, I can tell you the figures. If before the war we had from our territory about 2,000 olim in year, now we're about 6,000. This is the figures, and it says everything. That we have lots more challenges, more work, and more things to do. And we expected that the next year it will be more and more.
그렇게 중앙아시아에 있는 유대인들이 이스라엘로 이제 알리야가 이제 본격적으로 막 시작이 됐는데 이렇게 쏟아져 들어오는 이 이민자들을 위해서 이스라엘의 그 Jewish 에이전시 어떤 역할을 하고 있습니까?
The Jewish agency makes a huge role in this process because we are with the Olim from the beginning until the end. And I will try to explain what I mean from the beginning. From the beginning is the time, their places in Ukraine, in Mariupol, in Kiev, or in Russia, in Moscow, when they are pick up the phone. This is the first step. We are there. The Jewish agency is there from the first moment. When they are pick up the phone, we are answering. We are guiding them how to reach to our places. Never mind there. All over the region, we are there. This is the first step. And then when they are coming to our offices or where they are calling to our coordinators, we are giving them all the instructions, all the guidance, how to make Aliyah. But before making Aliyah, we want that it will be quality Aliyah, not just to buy a ticket and tell him go to Israel. This is not Aliyah. It's also Aliyah. It's a main of Aliyah. But before this, we are preparing them. We are explaining them for their first steps, what they expect in Israel. For the locals, Kazakhstan, Georgian, and also we are making lots of programs. Sunday schools, ulpan, teaching them language, seminars, summer camps, etc., professional programs, all the package for wants and interests to go Israel. We give him all the package so that his Aliyah will be the right Aliyah, with the right fit. Okay, when he will come to Israel, he will start his life more easily.
중앙아시아에 있는 유대인들도 이스라엘로 알리야하고 싶은 마음을 갖고 있다 하더라도 문제는 그 국가 차원에서도 이것을 유대인들을 이스라엘로 보내주는데 동의를 해줘야 될 것 같아요. 중앙아시아 국가들과 이스라엘 정부 관계는 좀 어떻습니까?
The relationship with Israel with each country in my region is excellent. Each country, we can name it. With Georgia, 30 years of great relationship, embassies, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, as you mentioned with the Azerbaijan. Few weeks ago, they opened an embassy in Israel, and it's a historic thing because Azerbaijan is a Muslim country, Shia country, and it shows the strength of the relationship between the two countries. And its influence, the relationship between the countries influence also the Jewish life in these countries. They have freedom for worship, they have freedom for religion, and the government is strictly very secure all the minorities in all over my region, and this is a good thing for us as a state and for us as an organization, the Jewish agency, that our people, the Jewish people, are saved in those places.
예전에 비해서 이제 한국 기독교인들도 긍정적인 부분으로 이스라엘에 대해서 많은 관심을 갖고 있습니다. 또 예전에 잘 몰랐었는데 요즘은 이제 전 세계에 있는 유대인들이 이스라엘로 알리야해야 된다라는 이 알리야라는 단어도 많이 이제 알게 됐고 또 어떤 분들은 이 유대인들의 알리야를 위해서 많은 기도와 또 이 재정적인 지원도 하고 있어요. 이런 부분이 그 중앙아시아 유대인들이 알리야 하는데, 그 이스라엘로 알리야 하는데 어떤 영향을 미치고 있고, 지금 또 만약에 진행되고 있는 어떤 그 중앙아시아 유대인들의 알리야 프로젝트가 진행되고 있다면 소개를 좀 해주시죠.
I personally moved from the Korean Christian community here, their relations to Aliyah, to Jews, to Israel. The first time that I met with the Korean community was in Poland, where Dvor Ganani called me and they come to visit the refugee center, and it was a very moving meeting. And was the first meeting with the Korean church, and it was, how can I say, love for the first sight. Afterwards, we continued visiting in my territory, and we had some project that very influenced in our activity. Charter flights. It was just yesterday. 795 people gathered online, and they are ready to support us, support our office in Kazakhstan. In next month, in March, we are planning charter flights with the help of the Christian churches from Korea. And we have more and more projects, and we are planning to think about more and more projects to deal with this huge amount of olim that we are planning to take to Israel. We are seeing a historic moment. There are thousands of people who are waiting to go to Israel, and we don't have many time. So we need any help from any organization, from any church, to take our brothers to their homeland. I mean, flight tickets, I mean, support, any support. We are ready for support, and you're praying also. It's very touching. You're praying for the state of Israel, for the Jews, for the Jewish agency. Every little penny, every prayer is a big support for us, and I want to thank you about it.
우크라이나 러시아 전쟁이 1년이 넘어갔어요. 1년이 넘어갔는데도 아직도 끝나지 않고 있습니다. 물론 뭐 당사국인 러시아에 있는 유대인들, 또 우크라이나에 있는 유대인들 많은 어려움을 겪고 있을 텐데, 그들이 이스라엘로 알리야 하는데 또 이스라엘에 또 알리야에서 정착하는데 우리 한국의 기독교인들이 분명하게 지지하고 또 기도하고 또 후원하고 있습니다. 우리 한국 기독교인들에게 한 말씀 해주시죠.
We are now, as I said, in historic moment. There are some prophets that came true, and we are seeing by our eyes prophets that's written in the Bible. The first prophet is the war situation, the economic situation, and another prophet that I'm seeing in the field, and I hope that I can translate it to our viewers, is the prophet of the coming back of the Jewish people to their homeland. And I want to invite everyone, all the viewers, to join to mission to fulfill this prophet and to be a part of this huge project, huge prophet, and to be a part. And as I said, praise, penny, never mind, to be a part to fulfill this prophet that, as he said, returned our sons to their borders. And we are seeing now in our eyes, in the field, queues of people who are waiting to go back to their homeland. And please, be a part of it. Thank you very much.
그럼 이제 한국을 떠나시면은 이스라엘로 가시는 겁니까? 아니면 폴란드 바르샤바로 다시 돌아가시는 겁니까?
It's the hardest question that you asked me today because I'm traveling a lot. And I'm going back to Israel, and in a short time, after a few days, I'm going to Baku, Azerbaijan, and to Tbilisi for a couple of days, and then I'm going back to Israel, and then to Poland. This is my schedule.
자, 오늘 이렇게 귀한 시간 내주시고 굉장히 중요한 일을 하고 계십니다. 현장에서 끝까지 잘 하실 수 있도록 저희도 기도드리겠습니다. 건강하십시오. 고맙습니다.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.